Hey everybody, welcome to Around the Twist, episode 349. It's November 11th, 2018. Thank you to all our veterans. We'll lead off with that since this is Veterans Day. 11th month, 11th day of the 11th month. Celebrating the signing of the armistice, I should say, of World War I. Little trivia bit for you there. Let's lead off with what's on my needles. Number one, no elk, and that's okay. We came back a little early, came back Friday instead of today like we were planning, but it's given us a couple days at home just to relax and chill before we get into the swing of the swing of work and everything else, and time to get 8 loads of laundry done and that kind of thing. So, first things first, what I have on my needles. I took all of this with me on the elk hunting trip. Plus I took an extra skein of sock yarn, wound up with the needles ready to go. Didn't touch it. Ended up not having as much knitting time as I originally thought I would, but I was definitely over yarned, which is a better thing to be than under yarned. And climbing mountains takes a lot out of you. It really does. So what I did work on, first thing, was the stained glass blanket, take 2. This is the Juggling Hexes pattern by Wendy Harbaugh, which is free over on Ravelry. I'm using scraps of Blue Moon Fiber Arts Socks That Rock lightweight and medium weight for the centers. And then, of course, I don't have it on me because I wound the one skein, or I took the one skein with me. I don't remember. The black framing each of the hexagons is the Loopy U Solid series. Ooh, I'm shedding, evidently. And I'm seeing things that aren't there. It looked like I had a big old long tail sticking out. The Loopy U Solid series in black, which I don't believe they have any up on the website at the moment, but I'm sure they will. Oh, there's a long tail sticking out. Let me trim that. I didn't have scissors on me when I put the last one on, or I didn't want to dig for them in the car. So I'll trim that off. So, 2 weeks ago, when I saw you, I'd only had like 131 centers. I'd only managed to put 2 on. Well, I'm still keeping that average of 2 a week. So I'm using an F hook, which is a 3.75 millimeter hook. Focus, please. There we go. Good old Susan Bates. El Cheapo needles that I have. So I'm still trying. So, remember I got it into a trapezoid? Well, now I'm trying to square it off. So I'm filling in on one side. And what I managed to do in the 2 weeks I was there was one afternoon I put on 3. This one, which I think is a paler shade of ST1. This one, which is one of the Christmas ones, and I can't remember which. Ooh, the colors are looking good. And then this one, which is turquoise. I knit a pair of monkeys out of that. And then this one, I believe, is... I don't know. What is that one? I know I've knit something out of it, and I can't remember. I think it's one of the Alice in Wonderland colorways, but I could be wrong. So I added 4, so I'm up to 135 centers added on. My edge, so my bottom and top edge is going to be this lovely in and out, up and down. The sides are going to be a different story because I don't want to have to figure out half hexes. So I'm just kind of doing this funky thing, more like honeycomb, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. Looks okay. I'm just trying to fill in now. So this next one will be a lower one. So I have to do 2 more. One here, and one here. And that row, and then we'll just keep going up until we run out. So we're slowly getting there. And then it'll be about, well, one side of it will be done, then I'll turn around and do the other side. This side, start filling this side in. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that. Second thing that I worked on, I did work on, since I got home, I took it along. I didn't touch it while we were there. It was Tara's Muffin Babies sweater, the Miss Piggy edition. Because all I had left to do, and I was like, oh, I'll do that. That's nothing. I can get this done. Wrong. So the Muffin Babies sweater is the Hearthstone by Isolde Teague. That was originally part of the Heart on My Sleeve collection by Tin Can Knits, and they collaborate with a bunch of different designers, and Isolde was just one of several. So this is Sun Valley Fibers yarn. It is their 100%. Sorry, I can't read it behind the camera. There we go. 100% Blueface Luster, their superwash DK weight, in the colorway Fire Witch. I actually got it right this time. I didn't grab a Cricut one. And it is shocking Barbie pink. I mean, eye-searing, retina-searing pink. All I had left to do, I had bound off the front neck, right? And then I'd worked all the shaping, and all I had left to do was bind off like the back neck, pick everything up, and knit 7 rows of ribbing, and then bind off, and then weave in all my ends, graft the underarms together, and it would be done. So I didn't touch it. Brought it along. Didn't even open the bag. Knitting up using a US 4, which is a 3.5 millimeter. That's for the ribbing. And then I had to go up to an 8 to get gauge for the stockinette portion, which is a 5.0 millimeter. So last night, sitting down watching Deadpool 2, I bound off the back neck, picked up all my stitches, which were about 20 more than I needed, so I found an online knitting calculator. Don't ask me which one I Googled, and I've already took it off my phone, so I can't remember what it was. It's one of the ones where to decrease evenly around, it asks you how many you're starting with, how many you want to end with. Okay, you want to do this many decreases. Boom, here's how you do it. Did all that. Was like, yeah, getting into Deadpool, and I'm knitting, and I'm doing the ribbing. I'm like, I'm ready to bind off the ribbing. And then I stopped and I looked at it. I had done 1 by 1 ribbing, and the sweater calls for 2 by 2. Yeah, I ripped it all out. Repicked everything up, and by then the movie was over. So I finished doing the decreases, like decreasing away the 20 extra stitches I had somehow picked up. And I have started, correct me if I'm wrong, this is now a 2 by 2 rib, yes. And I'm working on the 6th row. I have to do 7 rows. I'm working on the 6th. And then I'll bind off, and then I'll weave in all the ends. So hopefully by next week I will have a finished sweater for Tara. Because we woke up this morning to snow. So my babies need to be kept warm. But yeah, I'm mad. I could have had this done. I'm so mad at myself. I almost just threw it across the room last night, but I didn't. I just ripped it out and went back and did it over again. So, anyway, main thing that I worked on, because it was the smallest thing I had with me and it was the most portable, taking with us, it actually hiked up and down a few mountains, riding along in my Jane hat bag from Stitch by Jessalou. It held up beautifully, Jess. Gorgeous. Was the Geronimo socks for my friend Sarah. So, last week, I'm trying to remember, I didn't have a progress keeper with me. Or I did, but it wasn't in the bag, so I couldn't mark it. So bad Karen, no cookie. But I did finish the first sock while I was there. So this is my basic 72 stitch vanilla sock with a little 2-stitch cable. Runs all the way down the foot. And I did it so the cables are twisting in toward the top, and they'll run down the sides of the top of the foot, not all the way on the side. I just threw this cable in so it would be there, and they're twisting in. So that was kind of a fun little thing. The yarn is from Into the World. It's their Manchester, which is, as you can see, 80-10-10 Superwash Merino Cashmere Nylon Blend, and the colorway is called 11th Hour. It's a Doctor Who reference. Sarah picked this out while she was here. This is going to be her Christmas sock. So there's sock number 1. All done. Finished. I did most of the foot in a day when I was sitting in the car staying warm. It's got a slip stitch heel. And it spiraled beautifully. I'm loving how it kind of striped and spiraled. And it pooled and flashed a little bit where the gusset is, but I like it. And then I started the second one. So I'm knitting it up on a 2.25 millimeter or a US 1. And I've got the ribbing done. I'm ready to start the cuff. Yay. So that's it. That's what I've been working on. I did, with my mom's help, I didn't bring it down with me because the kids are napping, but I did manage to finish, switching over to pokey things, sorry. I did manage to finish Tara's Princess in Black costume. Thank you, Grandma Vicky, for sewing while Mommy was at work, but I got the dress part done, and then she installed the zipper on the back of it and did the cape. So thank you, Grandma, for doing that. Otherwise, yeah. Birthday party was a success. Moving on to various and sundry now since we've kind of exhausted everything else. Birthday party was a success. We had 3 friends from preschool over, which was just about the perfect amount of crazy for us to deal with. And we took them up and down the street trick-or-treating. The kids had fun, and then I had a great experience at the door, finishing handing out the Halloween candy once we got back and the little ones were all back with their parents. This huge group of teenagers, and let me tell you, I will never turn teenagers away from the door. I was still a teenager trick-or-treating because I loved it. I loved dressing up. Even if I kind of had to do it under the guise of, oh, I'm babysitting these small ones, but look, trick-or-treat. So this group of probably about 7 or 8, I'd say 8th or 9th graders came to the door, and they were so polite. It was so nice. And I'd gotten both. I didn't have time to get a teal pumpkin for the teal pumpkin project to let people know that we had non-food items. So I had a big pot of candy, and I had a smaller bowl in my hand that had bubble wands, little potion bottles of slime, and then I had glow bracelets and glow necklaces that I was going to use for the little kids when we were taking them around trick-or-treating. But with only 3 kids, I didn't need 18 sets of stuff, so I threw those in the bowl too. And I told them, okay, guys, I've got this, I've got candy, obviously, but I also have this and this and this. And I went, oh, that is so cool. And every one of them, one at a time, came up and said, can I have the pink slime, please? That's awesome. And like, you don't want candy? Well, I'll take candy too if I could have candy too. Yeah, sure, you can have candy too. So I'm giving a huge handfuls of candy and slime. One kid stepped up and he's like, I'm going to be different than everyone. I want a bubble wand. And another one was very specific. I want that exact Milky Way that's right on top. Can I just reach in and get it? And, but they were so polite and it was so nice. So I will never turn teenagers away from our door as long as they've made even a half-hearted attempt at a costume. But yeah, then hubby and I took off elk hunting and we spent the time up in Meeker, which had some really great restaurants that we went to. A wonderful Mexican restaurant called Mexican House, I believe. We went to an Italian restaurant called Mi Familia that was packed. Just people waiting for tables. I mean, it was a fairly small dining area because it's a smaller town. But we got in and they had fabulous steaks. We were both starving, so we both got a steak. And I'm trying to think what was, we went to another, it was like a burger place. I think it was called Carter's. And they also did ice cream. And they had really good burgers there too, but yeah. It was a lot of hiking. We went up and down a trail called China Wall twice in one day. Second time up about killed me, but I survived. After that we drove to the top and mainly stayed around a place called Black Mountain. Saw a lot of evidence of elk, like fresh tracks every day, a lot of deer tracks. We saw a large mountain lion track and a bear print on one day when we hiked higher up on the mountain, but never actually laid eyes on elk, except for our second morning out. We saw a herd of about 12 or 15 of them that were over on private land. So sadly, we didn't get elk this year, but talking to some of the locals and who had been talking to the other hunters, no one was getting elk up there this year. So it just wasn't cold enough. They weren't driven down off the higher peaks and the flat tops yet. So next year, we'll see. But, oh gosh. This is why I just freaked out. I did not hear him coming, and all of a sudden here he is next to me. Gababoo, you are supposed to be napping, my child.
Well, I was napping.
But?
I kind of woke up.
Yeah? Do you still feel like you need to nap for a while longer?
No.
Can you tell everyone how old you are now?
I'm 5 years old.
Yep, we had a birthday. But
I kind of had problem here.
You kind of had a problem here? What's your problem?
Well, Mama kind of pressed the button on my Legos.
Okay. All right. Now, when Daddy's playing this game down here, I can't have you down here, though, okay? So can you go upstairs and find something to play quietly until Mama's done, please? And go take care of your pull-up, please. Go, child. Run.
Okay.
Go. Mush. And he farts as he goes out. Gosh. Okay. Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. I will see you all next week, hopefully with a finished object. And until then, everyone, happy knitting.